I have been wanting to do a St. Patrick's Day nail set for a few years now, and this year I finally got around to doing it. So I started out with our XL Oval Quick Gel tips from the Painted Desert. I really like these. They do give off kind of an almond shaped vibe. And on this right hand, I did them as a pop off gel extension set. So I didn't record that because it is just the pop off method. But I went ahead and went in with the Cactus Base Succulent gel. I did 2 layers of that, and then I used the new matte top coat to give them a matte because I knew I was going to do chrome on top. I did a little practice before I started recording because I wanted to make sure they would turn out how I expected. Okay, one other note, I am not wearing gloves in this video, and I always preach to wear gloves, especially when using 3D gels, but I do not ever touch the gel in this. I wanted to see if I could manipulate the whole thing without using my hands, and it actually did. It worked out really well, but you absolutely can use gloves easily with this type of gel. You just got to know how to manipulate it. And I'm going to make another video on that shortly too. So to make these shamrocks, I decided to roll out what I call like a sausage link and make some sausage links. I just cut that rolled out tube of gel into 3 to 4 equally sized pieces. And I say sausages because when you start slicing it, it kind of looks like little sausage links. I don't know. That's silly, I know. Okay, and then I went ahead and rolled them into balls to try to make sure that they all look about the same size when I'm going to use all 3 or 4 of them for a leaf. And if I felt like one was a little bit smaller, I would just add a little bit more to that one just to make sure that they were, like I said, pretty even. And when I felt like I liked the size of them, it was time to go in and apply them to the nail. Really, this 3D gel sticks to most base gels or gel colors, but when you're using something like a matte top coat, sometimes it does have a hard time sticking to the surface unless the design that you're manipulating can really be kind of mashed and squished into the nail. And this one does, but you can use base gel on top of the matte top coat underneath where you'll have the design and just cure that fully and wipe off the inhibition layer. And that will help this 3D gel stick as well if you are struggling with the matte top coat. Once I place the ball on the nail and get it to where I know it's not going to move around much, kind of mash it into that matte top coat, the base gel, whatever you put down, I start to shape the leaf of the shamrock. I went with a more triangular shape for this shamrock. I thought that that looked a little bit cuter than a more rounded shape, but I wanted to give it a little bit of an indentation, almost like a heart, but not a heart. And I wanted to add a little bit of texture. This was a little hard because later on we're going to paint these with black to add the green chrome. And I didn't want to lose the texture in the middle of the nail. And sometimes I did, but I at least wanted to make sure that there was some higher and low points on each of the leaves to kind of give it a more unique look rather than just a very flat surface. So I went around and kind of made that triangle shape, gave it a little indent at the top, and then I gave it a flash cure. You can flash cure this for about 30 seconds, and it's going to end up at least freezing the 3D gel in place because when you go to put the next leaf down, and this is the same for flowers because this is basically the same concept if you were making a flower with 3D gel. I didn't want these 2 leaves slash petals, if you're doing flowers, to meld together, which is common. You can kind of sculpt items and put pieces together when they're not cured. But if you cure one first and you place another piece of gel next to it and then sculpt around it, it does give a more distinct petal so that they're not mushed too close together or they don't kind of become one. And this is especially happens especially often when you're using alcohol for a slip solution and it can kind of melt the 2 gels together. So if you mess up when both of the leaves are uncured, it's really hard to separate them. You basically have to start over. If you like the first one, get it flash cured, and then you apply the next leaf ball next to it, and you mess up, you can just scrape off the one that you messed up and it doesn't stick as much. You can kind of clean it from the good leaf. So I definitely recommend if you need to work in sections or you want distinct separation of objects, definitely flash cure when you can. So these steps are repeated for each shamrock, and I did a variety of 3 leaves and 4 leaves on each nail. Once I have all the gel set and the shaping done, I do a complete full cure, and I even pop this in for like 2 minutes just to make sure that all of this 3D gel was completely cured before moving on to the next step, which is going to be painting. I'm going to let you watch for just a minute me shaping a few of these just to kind of get you the idea of how the shaping went, but we're only going to see one nail. If you didn't know, I've been doing a giveaway on this channel. You need to do a few things to be considered. You need to have a public YouTube profile and be subscribed to my channel, meaning that if I go into my subscriber list, I will be able to see and confirm that you are a current subscriber. And then you also need to comment on the video of that week, a very special word. This week's word is shamrock. So write down the word shamrock in the comments below and make sure you're subscribed, and I'll send you a free nail product. In the description below, you will see the winner from last week. I'm going to post their name here as well. That person, if you will please email me through my website and I will contact you about how to claim your prize. Once the shamrocks are all cured, we're going to take the one step black gel polish and our detail brush and paint on a fairly thin layer of this gel all over. I tried to be very careful. It's why I'm using the detail brush, because I don't want to get this polish on the nail itself. I'm going to leave these nails matte and just have the shamrocks be chrome and glossed. This particular one-step gel polish, it is a base, a color, and a top coat and one. Once you put a layer down, once it's all cured, you could go straight on with the chrome and then top coat it and be done. I am going to put on 2 layers of this. This first layer, it's pretty thick and it probably would have done the job perfectly well, but I wanted to make sure that I cured it really well and I got all of the little crevices. And I find that when I'm doing this type of 3D work and I've kind of textured it and everything, sometimes it's a little thinner in some spots, and I just wanted to make sure it was a nice even layer. The other thing that I want to point out that I did was I cleaned up any kind of spots that I could before curing it. And I would do a 60-second cure for the first layer. And once the first layer is cured, I'm going to go in and paint another layer and make sure that it is really nice, even coverage. For the second layer, just make sure that you get nice, great coverage. It's basically completely black. But when you go into the lamp for the last cure, you're only going to do about 30 seconds. And that's going to allow this chrome to stick really, really well and also be still very, very shiny. And when I did this, I did all of the greens first, meaning I painted all of the green shamrocks first, and then I went in and used the chrome on them and sealed them. And then I went in and I painted all of the gold shamrocks and chromed them and sealed them. That way I wouldn't rub it off and I wouldn't kind of get chrome on the other blacks as I was doing this. Whenever you chrome, just remember too, right after you're done chroming, try to clean up as much as you can. It's not going to matter as much with these, what you leave on the matte part for now, because you're only going to seal with a glossy top coat on the actual shamrock. I did the same concept that I did before with the black gel polish. I used the detail brush so I could keep it just on the shamrock. And I make sure though, if you're using the same brush, you really clean that black gel out so it doesn't kind of murky up the shine and not look as shiny or as green or gold or whatever chrome you're using. You just want to kind of float it over the top, make sure that it doesn't fall down and pool in areas on the matte part of the nail. But once you get this all covered in a nice glossy top coat, you want to do a full cure for the glossy top. Overall, I think these were a slay. I've gotten so many compliments already. Let me know what you think in the comments and let me know what you want to see next.